Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mama of 3 bougie vintage, and today's video is a Toronto rap news and makeup video. But before we get into that, I want to do a giveaway. Now, you guys know I am the queen of scavenger hunts, and so obviously I'm going to send you on a scavenger hunt. But the item that I will be giving away is this. What's in the box? What's in the box? So these are a pair of Coach shoes. They're so cute. I'm actually very mad that they don't fit me. They're sold out online. They were inexpensive, I would say. But they're just these wedges. So they have a cork, rubber, and leather sole. And then they have the Coach print in tan and brown. Ankle strap, gold buckle. They're super duper cute. Anyway, these are a size 5. I purchased them for my mom because she's a size 5, but I guess they run a little small, and so she wanted to go up to a size 6. So I tried to get her the size 6 and they were sold out. So instead of sending these back because I ordered them and it's like too much of a hassle, I decided I would just give them away on my channel. Yay! A few questions. The first question is, what did Shooter say he was going to get me for my birthday that made me crack up? Question 2, what is my favorite chocolate bar? Question 3, what kind of car do I drive now? Question number 4, what did I use to train both of my daughters to potty train? Those are the 4 questions. To enter the giveaway is simple. All you have to do is answer those 4 questions. Do not answer them in this comment section. You will be able to comment your answers on the next video I post. So not this video, obviously. The next video that I post, the first person to answer all of those questions correctly in the comment section, not in the live chat. Please listen to the instructions very carefully. Not in the live chat if the video does a premiere. Be the first person to answer the questions in the comment section of the next posted video, and you will be the winner of this. So let's get into the tea, honey, because this is about to be a roller coaster ride, okay? And today's video is a new series I am introducing to my channel, and it is basically covering Toronto stories while I do my makeup. Because when I did my last video googling my ex-boyfriends, and we discovered that my ex-boyfriends are out here literally, I just got inspired to do this. And so I think there's actually a couple kinds of videos like this on the internet, but not this specifically. So I will be covering Toronto rap artists stories because a lot of the time ain't no cap in the rap in Toronto, okay? So we're gonna do that. And the first story that I'm going to start with is the Mark Moore story. Mark Moore is also known as Prezidenteeh, and there's a whole documentary on this man and another rapper named Mayhem Morearty. So let's get into this because there's a lot to cover, okay? Call me news reporter Bo, okay? So all of the information that I will be discussing today will be linked in the description box. There's plenty of articles about this online. Also, there's a documentary that was on TVO. They put it on YouTube, so I'm going to link it for you to watch it. And it's called Some Sort of Judas. So this all started in August of 2010, and it's just going to be a domino effect of events. So on August 9th, 2010, there was a robbery at a jewelry store. And Mark Moore, aka Prezidenteeh, was the main person to conduct this robbery. But the other person involved in the robbery was Kevin Williams, who is also called Mayhem Morearty. Now, when you go on YouTube, both of these people will pop up with not only their news stories, but their music videos. Mayhem in particular reminds me of Young Buck But that's neither here nor there.
Like they regurgitating, connected cross nation. Picasso with the Trey Ultra, how I paint the pavement.
He really does just remind me of Young Buck. Anyway, they rob a jewelry store and the clerk of the jewelry store ends up getting shot. Now, even though they robbed the jewelry store together, that don't mean nothing because apparently Prezidenteeh stiffed Mayhem. So Mark stiffed Kevin. And that actually ended up being his demise. Mayhem ends up snitching on Prezidenteeh because when they did this jewelry store heist, he didn't give him his cut of the money. And you can kind of see it reflected because Prezidenteeh has lots of jewelry, whereas Mayhem had like one little dinky chain on in the video where Prezidenteeh keeps saying one touch.
One touch out here. Share my video shoot right now, you know what I'm saying? For you niggas. You know. I mean, my niggas here, Mayhem, Vatos, you know.
I will include as many clips as I can. They took between $250,000 to $500,000 worth of jewelry. Now, $250,000 is a whole lot of money. A whole lot of cash, okay? That is a lot of money. $500,000 is a lot of money. And I mean, even if you do a robbery with somebody and it's only two of y'all, I'm assuming you're supposed to get half and half. But from what it sounded like, it's like Mayhem didn't get a red cent, okay? And he certainly didn't look like he had gotten any money either.
One thing I will say though, hopefully Mark is listening, if you had kept it real with the robbery we had did, I'm more than likely, I either would have been sitting beside you doing life or we would have beat the charge, you know? You can't expect loyalty if you're not offering loyalty. Loyalty is a two-way street.
So almost exactly a month later, on September 10th of 2010, this is when the first victim was murdered. His name was Jamil Spence. He was murdered shortly after leaving a family barbecue to go to the Daisy Mart to get some juice. And so basically he left the barbecue, he went to go get the juice. So once he purchased his juice and he left the convenience store and was returning back to the barbecue, that is when he was shot. Now, he wasn't just shot one time, he was shot multiple times. I believe 7 to be exact, and he was shot by Prezidenteeh. Now, we wouldn't really know that he shot him if he hadn't texted Mayhem after he committed this crime and told Mayhem to watch CP24. Now, when I'm reading these articles and I'm watching the documentary, I'm baffled by this because it's just like, why would he randomly shoot somebody? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But according to Mayhem, who you thought was his friend, he wanted street cred. And again, this doesn't really make any sense to me, but this is from the person that was supposedly closest to him. Although later on, he states that they were not really friends. Which doesn't make sense to me either, but let me continue. So on the night of that murder, when he texts his friend, not friend, he tells him to watch the news, and Mayhem replies to the text and he says, "LOL, you're funny." Now, this is slang terminology. Usually when you say something like that, when you say "LOL, you're funny," it usually has a sarcastic tone to it. And so according to Mayhem, he states that he was desensitized to violence. So, you know, it wasn't that big a deal to him when he received this text message from Prezidenteeh. Moving on to 19 days later, so September 29th of the same year, 2010, there was a double homicide. A young man named Courtney Facey and his best friend, who was named Mike James, one was 18, one was 23, they were both gunned down as well. This time, Mayhem did not receive a text message from Prezidenteeh to watch the news because he was there, okay? He was up in the car when this happened.
I did not know that was going to happen. I was drunk. We were drinking the whole day. You know, I was under the impression we were going to the liquor store, but I noticed they were taking a detour from where the liquor store was located.
So that's how he's able to be a witness to these two murders. I believe in the actual documentary, Mayhem admits to laughing when the murders happened while he was in the vehicle, and it alarmed me because I'm like, I get being desensitized, but like laughing is a bit extreme unless it's an uncomfortable laugh, which he didn't really state. But I partially felt or feel that Mayhem was a little intimidated or scared of Prezidenteeh, like, so he didn't want to be like, tell him at that time, what's wrong with you, or something is wrong with you, why are you shooting innocent people? But something that stuck out to me with this particular situation was that it didn't seem to make sense, simply because when Mayhem stated that it was his birthday, they were drinking all day, it was 3 people in the vehicle, and they had picked him up or whatever, and they were driving, and they were supposed to be driving to the LCBO, the liquor store, but for whatever reason he noticed that they made a detour and they ended up in an alleyway, and that's where these 2 people got shot. And so that's why I was like, this doesn't make any sense that this is a random killing. But apparently there's no evidence to say otherwise, that it wasn't a random killing, because the 2 people that died were 2 people that had no criminal history, no criminal background. They're not known to police. They're just 2 young kids that like to dance, and apparently were dancing outside their car on the night of the murder. The location of these murders matters because this murder in particular, or these murders, because it was a double homicide, happened directly across the street from where Prezidenteeh had been shot back in 2001.
Never read a right niggas hug up Prezidenteeh, face shot, hug up Prezidenteeh, face shot, hug up Prezidenteeh, face shot, hug up Prezidenteeh, face shot.
Now, in 2001, Prezidenteeh was only 16 years old, and he was shot in the face with an AK-47. Now, I ain't no doctor, okay? But I have to assume that if somebody gets shot in the face with an AK-47 and their face is permanently disfigured, that they are going to be suffering from at least PTSD, if not other mental illnesses. And if they are suffering from PTSD and they have other mental illnesses already present in them that were underlying, there's no telling what somebody that is suffering from PTSD would do at any given time. Now, I'm going to speak from my perspective and say, if somebody were to shoot me in the face with an AK-47, God forbid, and I had a permanently disfigured face, and every time I looked in the mirror I saw this permanently disfigured face, I would probably be mad as hell. I want to talk about this incident for a bit because all of the articles I read on this story, all of the whole entire documentary, every time that this subject gets brought up, the fact that he was shot in the face with an AK-47, every time it gets brought up, it's glazed over. And I think it's being glazed over because of the crimes he committed after the fact, but I have to wonder, would he have done these things if at 16 he was not shot in the face with an AK-47 for no reason? I don't think that he would. Now, I don't know him personally, and I don't really want to know him personally, but we have to look at it from all angles, and quite frankly, I can't say that he is doing things that are of normal behavior. It's not normal to shoot random people. It's really not. Even if you want street cred, it doesn't make any sense. I really didn't like that when I'm reading every single article, I could not find anybody like not glazing over the fact that he was shot in the face at 16. No, none of the articles I read like went into that. And also when I googled to find the actual event, I couldn't find it anywhere. So if you're watching this and you can find the story of him being shot at 16 in 2001 around Weston Road, because he was shot in the actual building that he lives in, if you can find that article, please comment it down below, because I can't find it anywhere. It's like it never happened. So apparently, according to Mayhem and other articles that I've read, apparently apart from street cred, the reason that he was killing people was because he was basically gonna kill anybody in the neighborhood that looked like who did the attack on him at 16, 9 years before all this started. So moving along, we get to his 4th victim in November of 2010, and he kills an older gentleman by the name of Carl Cole. The craziest part about his murders was nobody was just shot once. Literally all of the victims, it seemed personal. It was just a bloodbath. It was so many bullets for no reason. And this last guy in particular, he shot him 22 times. So I watch a lot of crime shows, and usually when it's that many bullets or stab wounds, it's personal. But 3 of these victims were not really known to this man. And while I was watching the documentary, I was really trying to wrap my head around it, but then I said, I'm not a serial killer, so I can't wrap my head around this. Like, there's just no point in even trying to wrap your head around something like this. So I just took it for what it was. Now, a year later, so October of 2011, both Mayhem and Prezidenteeh end up getting arrested. Of course, Prezidenteeh denies everything. He's like, nope. And I guess he figured his co-accused would deny everything as well, but it didn't go that way. And Mayhem ended up agreeing to testify against Prezidenteeh after 45 minutes of questioning. Now, this is why you don't commit crimes with people, okay? Kodak Black done said it, child. I don't need no co-defendant, okay? Don't have a co-defendant. Like, if you're in the street, you cannot trust that the person that you're doing your crimes with is as solid as you are. Now, we have to be thankful that Mayhem did what he did, but I don't think Mayhem is thankful he did what he did, because now he has to live a life where he's looking over his shoulder every 5 minutes. Despite the fact that he's 1, not in jail right now, and 2, in a remote location, so nobody knows where he is. He was in protective custody far, far away. If somebody wants to find him, I'm sure they will. Now, both gentlemen were placed in different jails to await court dates and stuff like that, trial. And so from October of 2011 to April 30th, 2013, they had not seen each other, had not spoken, had no contact because they were both in jail. Now on April 30th, they had court. And at court, you have to wait in a holding cell. And so they put Mayhem in the same holding cell as Prezidenteeh. I don't think I really need to say how this went. He tried to kill him with his bare hands, but was unsuccessful. And so it was here in my readings and in watching the documentary that I was like, this is also one of the reasons that people need to let the police do their job, because you will not be protected if you are a snitch from either side. Because Mayhem asked for protection. He asked to not be placed with this individual, and he was still placed with him. And where were the guards when he was getting his ass beat? They were minding their own business because nobody likes snitches, not even the police. And when the police talk about Mayhem in the documentary, they don't talk nicely of him. They don't thank him for helping them do their job. They don't give a crap about you.
Kevin Williams fit the classic definition, I think, of what you would call ultimately a snitch.
So you're literally better off just letting them figure out what they need to figure out. Gathering their own evidence without, breaking your street code or whatever that is, because you're gonna end up dead regardless. Now, it's sad to say that, very, very sad to say that, but they literally let him stomp on this man's head while he's supposed to be testifying. So he never made it to testify that day. He left on a stretcher. So moving right along to March of the next year, so March 2014, they sentenced Mayhem to 12 years for the robbery in which the clerk was shot by accident. He was shot by a ricocheting bullet. He was not directly shot at. And in that, I guess, trial, he testified against Prezidenteeh. Because he testified, instead of getting 12 years, he got a reduced sentence of 10 years. Listen, if I'm gonna snitch, y'all better give me, like, I don't want any time. What is 2 years off? Like, really? No. Y'all need to give me, like, half of the sentence. Half, maybe no time, community service, but not 2 years only, child. It's not even worth it. After I got my head stomped on, after I left on a stretcher, no. I'm out at that point. I'm going on the run. I'm not even going to, I'm literally going on the run. I'm not even with the shenanigans. Y'all can come and find me, send the FBI, send whoever you need to send. but we're not playing this game. So a year later, on May 30th of 2015, that is when Mark Moore was sentenced to life in prison on 4 counts of homicide. Now, he was only sent to prison based on the testimony from his co-accused. So literally they had nothing without Mr. Williams. And you have to look at it like, is he even a credible source? Because after the first murder where he texted him and told him, you should watch CP24, and he said, LOL, you're funny, he still hung out with him. He still was in the car with this guy after the fact. Like, so to me, he should probably be doing life just as much as Prezidenteeh is doing life. There's no way around that. Because if you tell me to watch the news and it's because you did something horrible, I just can't picture myself hanging out with you again. As desensitized as I am, I'm not hanging out with you. Because if you were gonna go kill a random person, who's to say you ain't gonna kill me? Like, I am not with the shenanigans. But common sense is not so common. The part that got me in the actual documentary was when Mayhem was trying to say that they weren't really friends. He was trying to say that he needed street cred and Mr. Moore, aka Prezidenteeh, had street cred essentially, or him and his brother were known for being crazy. He claimed that he basically hired Mr. Moore as security. And I'm like, this don't make no damn sense. But hey, whatever is clever in the hood. Something else that Mayhem said was that, you know, if he had known that those murders were going to happen while he was in the car, he wouldn't have been hanging out with Prezidenteeh. And also, when they asked him, which I don't know why they didn't ask this man that, like, this is the thing. This is why you can't be doing these interviews and these documentaries with these white folk, because they will get you indicted on something that you didn't think was even going to come back to bite you. So they go ahead and they ask this man if he's ever murdered anybody. Like, who gonna say yeah, I did last week. Like, yeah, last week I just decided I was gonna murder. Like, nobody is gonna admit to that on camera when they're basically already labeled as a rat. They already have enough drama going on. They're not gonna get on national television, because this was a national interview that they did with him, or a documentary that was aired on TV multiple times. They're not gonna get on TV and admit to that. So when they ask him that, he says no comment. But then he says he's been on both sides of the gun. He's been shot at and he's been the shooter. So you answer the question without answering the question, but he should have just left it as no comment. One thing he also stated was that I was supposed to do my eye makeup first and I totally forgot. Mayhem also stated in the documentary, you know, sometimes he feels like just coming back to Toronto and basically swapping it out with whoever, you know, is looking for him, because, you know, he was born in Toronto, and if he's gonna die, then why not die in Toronto? But he stated that that's like his old him, the old version of himself trying to pull him back there. But as a snitch, I guess he is tired of living life as a snitch, and so he wants to go back to where he's from and swap it out with whoever, whenever. Like, he just sounds like, well, he knows he's a marked man, but he sounds like he's not afraid to die. But he also has children, so where does that leave them? But I guess those are just things that you're supposed to consider before you commit heinous crimes or get involved with certain people. Honestly, I think that if he didn't fold in that 45 minutes, the police would have had a lot more work to do, and they probably would never have been able to catch the criminal, because it's literally only that text message that ends up linking Prezidenteeh to the first murder. And because it's the same 9mm gun that was used in the other murders, so they say, that's basically how they were able to identify him as the killer. But what I find interesting is that when it comes to a weapon, they get sold and traded often, almost immediately after a crime has been committed. So that gun that was used to kill the first victim could have easily been sold and traded within the span of the 75-day rampage. But because of those text messages, we can't really use that theory. But then again, we're going off of the testimony of somebody that is getting the benefits of being, one, a free man, and also having a reduced sentence at the time that he agreed to testify. Now, one thing that was really random, which I do not understand why he was in the documentary, is Bugs. And I've known Bugs since he was like 12 years old, and I really did not understand why he was in the damn documentary, or why they stated that he was living in Lawrence Heights, because he most definitely was living in Empringham, close to my neighborhood, not Lawrence Heights. Two different sides of the world, okay? In the actual documentary, we see this white girl. She was actually dating Mayhem, and she was pregnant at the time with his son, but she found out that he was cheating on her, and I'm like, what? How did this man have the time to cheat on anybody when he was living in a halfway house when they met? I mean, to each their own, but like, if I find out you're in a halfway house, I don't think that I'm gonna be dating you. But she was saying that, you know, she's drawn to bad boys, and what can I say? Based on my last video, I don't have much room to talk. But like, I didn't meet anybody in a halfway house, that's all I'm saying. Now, nothing can excuse the crimes that were committed by Prezidenteeh. Nothing at all can excuse them. So what I had a really hard time understanding is why or how any mother could help their child to destroy evidence or get rid of evidence, or like, I was like, what in the power is this? Like, so Prezidenteeh's mom ends up getting arrested behind his crimes. And I'm thinking, how could somebody do this to their mom? But I'm also thinking, how could you as a mother know the mischief your son, the havoc your son has caused, and still sit there and help him? So she became an accessory after the fact, and an accessory to murder after the fact. And he also got his baby moms, or his girlfriend, arrested and charged behind him as well. Now, the situations on both sides are a little different, because with the girlfriend situation, she was apparently scared of him because he had fired a bullet through her door before, according to her lawyer. And so she was fearful of him, and so she did whatever he told her to do. However, he was sitting in jail at the time that he told her to go and get one of their cars painted black from blue. But I guess because she's in an abusive relationship, she's just going to do what the abuser tells her to do. So I can't fault her for that, despite the fact that he was in jail giving her instructions. And she's also probably thinking she's screwed either way. If she doesn't do it, she's screwed. And if she does do it, she's screwed. So she did it. What I also don't understand is why people don't think that the people are listening to your jail calls. Because they definitely are listening. They don't have anything better to do with their time than listen to the jail calls, honey. Especially with a high profile such as his. The calls are monitored and recorded, and it's not for training purposes. So I would not be getting on the phone and talking anything over those phones. I'm also not getting arrested behind no man, not doing time for no man. As much as I would like to say the saga ends there, he's in jail, he's doing life, and that's it, it's not. It gets worse. As I was stating, calls that you make from jail are recorded, and Prezidenteeh actually made his own call to Crime Stoppers against himself, or for himself, in favor of himself, I guess we were gonna say. He called Crime Stoppers and basically told Crime Stoppers that they got the wrong guy, and the real perpetrators are people named Slinky and Reds. And I'm like, oh my god, so he turned snitch. But no, because Slinky and Reds do not exist. They are fake people that he made up in order to try to get himself out of jail. But he made the call from jail, so they were able to identify where that call came from. And that leads me to my next point. Crime Stoppers is not anonymous. So don't think it's anonymous, because it's not, okay? Crime Stoppers is definitely not anonymous, even though they tried to tell you that it is. I mean, if it's anonymous, how you gonna collect your reward, child? You think they don't know where that bank account is attached to? It's a scheme set up by Todd, and I would not want no parts of it. He calls Crime Stoppers on himself, and he refers to himself as like a really, really nice guy or a good guy or some foolishness like that. And these are all traits of a narcissist, of a sociopath, actually, not even a narcissist. He's definitely exhibiting sociopathic behavior. I mean, we're not going to say he's in the same line of crazy as like Ted Bundy or anything like that, but he might as well be, okay? I think the biggest takeaway from the Mark Moore Prezidenteeh story is that untreated PTSD, no matter where it stems from, whether it's a crime that was committed against you, whether it's sexual abuse from when you were a child, whether it's any form of trauma that has then trickled down into PTSD, if it goes untreated, you could very well end up doing heinous crimes. Your mind is literally changed when you have PTSD. Your brain chemistry is changed automatically when you experience trauma. Another big takeaway from this whole entire story, I mean, after I literally for 3 days have been reading the story, because I already knew the story, but like I never went in depth with the story. In the 3 days that I've been doing my research, at the end of it all, I have such a relief that I have not bore a son. Like, I'm so happy. I have other things to worry about with having daughters, but like, I'm so happy I don't have a son. Also very happy that I chose to not raise my kids in Toronto. It's literally like this story just never ends, because at one of Prezidenteeh's court dates, after he had attacked Mayhem in the holding cell, he was reading a letter, I guess, to the judge. And when he referred to Mayhem, sorry guys, when he referred to Mayhem, referred to him as a former close friend who did not testify against him, but testified against him. And I could not help but to laugh at that, because I cannot. Initially, Mayhem had stated that Prezidenteeh had shot those 2 men in the alleyway. So the second and third victim. And Mayhem had also stated that Prezidenteeh had told him that an angel of death had made him do it. And so when I'm reading this stuff, I'm like, this sounds like some straight up schizophrenia. He's like textbook PTSD, by the way. But apparently, Mr. Mark Moore, aka Prezidenteeh, when he was in court, he stated that that was a lie, and that he is innocent of those 2 murders, and that in fact Mayhem, the one who has the reduced sentence, the one who's a free man, he is the one that actually killed those 2 gentlemen. His exact words were, "Mayhem did not see me kill. What Mayhem saw was a reflection of himself gunning down 2 people and throwing me under the bus." Now, if we look at the case, if we look at the facts that we were given, we are only basically going off the testimony of Mayhem. And so what Prezidenteeh is saying is not far-fetched, but it also doesn't make sense that Mayhem would do all this and become a snitch and labeled as a snitch and not be able to live his regular, best life. So I don't know that he's lying. Moore also claimed that Williams had rushed and assaulted him in the holding cell in 2013, and that he was merely acting in self-defense when he hit Williams back. Testimony from the correctional officer who intervened was nothing but bogus, and the officer didn't like me. But what can I say? Seems like 361 University had a vendetta against me for some reason. Moore said regardless of his sentence, he has no choice but to accept it, and that he would not appeal. Well, that's good to know that he's not trying to appeal, okay? I'm getting older and becoming more wise. I've been here since I was 25. Now I'm turning 32 soon. And so this is an old article that I'm reading. One of the craziest parts about this whole entire thing is that Prezidenteeh is actually seeking love from behind bars. So there's some website for inmates to join in Canada. I think they have it in the States as well, where you basically post your profile and you can find love. I think what's more crazy to me is that there's a woman out there that is crazy enough to pursue this man. I have tattoos covering 70% of my foundation combined with a boxer's physique. Looking for Miss Universe. Okay, so his chance is very high considering. Between the ages of 22 to 40. In good shape that would like to explore with a rap star. Race ain't an issue. Perhaps a bubble butt, but certainly double D's. I said, child, he got a lot of nerve, okay? He also put on his profile that he loves a woman with good ambition that's down to earth, open-minded, and intelligent. Another thing that really gets me about this whole entire thing is his mom's role in it. Simply because I get it's your child. Nobody's gonna call the police on their kid, okay? That's not what I'm saying. Even if you don't call the police, if you know that your child did something, though she expresses that he swore up and down he's innocent, so he ain't even worried about a thing. They claim that she helped him destroy evidence. And so my whole thing is, I get not calling the police on your child, not wanting your child to get arrested, but I feel like there has to be a line drawn somewhere. You can't coddle somebody like this, and you cannot try to protect them and hold them, because at the end of the day, if it is in fact that he was going around murdering innocent people, that's not somebody we really need on the street. So I'm glad he decided he's not going to appeal his convictions. I think that's definitely food for thought, especially women raising men. In single parent households, we have to hold people accountable for sure. Like, we cannot just let them be out in the street doing the utmost. We cannot help them destroy evidence. Like, no, that's not okay in any way. So to conclude this, Mayhem is in witness protection somewhere, probably in damn Saskatchewan. Somewhere where ain't nobody gonna find him, okay? Prezidenteeh is in jail, not going to appeal, and looking for love. I don't know how active Mayhem is in his children's lives, but apart from the one baby mother that you see in the documentary, she reveals that he also has other children. I think it was 2 or 3 with 3 different baby mothers, so 4 kids total. I don't know how active he is in their lives, but hopefully he is active. Or maybe he can't be because of what he chose to do. So when you do something like that, you also put your children in danger. When you become a rat, it's not just you you're putting in danger. You literally put everybody in danger. So, I mean, there's 2 sides of the coin here, and they both suck, okay? You can't flip heads or tails, okay? Because he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. I really want to read like the transcripts from court. I want to see the whole thing. I don't like just going based off of the news articles, but this is what we have and this is what we're working with. So in the comment section below, let me know if there's a specific Toronto rapper or Toronto story that you want me to cover, and I will get it done. But I already have like a plethora of stories that I will be covering that I know just based on being from Toronto. And so I'm really excited about this segment, and I hope you guys liked this video. I love you all so much, and I will definitely see you in the next one.